You're watching Soulful Discussions. Ciao.
Okay.
All right, so hi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you very much.
All right, how did you and I meet today?
I was just waiting at the bus stop and you just slid through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I asked you about doing an interview today. Do you remember the 3 topics we're going to cover?
Feet,
Uh-huh.
reflexology, and one other thing.
Mental health.
Mental health.
Mental. Let me ask you this. You hear the word feet, what do you think about first? First thing goes through your mind.
I think about like foundation.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's very good because like a lot of times I go out and do this and I get people who answer other ways, but I definitely love the foundation part because that's kind of what I think about in terms of that. Like it's a very important thing for us, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So today we're gonna ask some questions about your thoughts about the subject of feet. Just feel free to answer however you like in those moments, okay?
Okay.
What about mental health? When you hear that, what do you think about?
I just think about family. I don't know. Yeah.
I think we all have people in our family, right, who may, have some either struggles or maybe experiences with that, and so, hopefully we learn from it and we're able to like deal with that. Today we're going to talk a little bit about like dealing with stress, anxiety, like some different tips maybe you might have, and then I'll throw in some things as well, okay?
Yeah.
And just feel free to answer however you like in that moment as well, okay?
Okay.
And then reflexology, you kind of said, my grandmother was a masseuse, so you kind of know a little bit, and then we kind of talked a little bit about it. We're going to go more in depth. So in that moment, just after I give you the information, you could just tell me what your thoughts are about it. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds
All right,
good.
cool. So let's start with the first question, okay?
Okay.
How do you think we can improve mental health awareness throughout the world? Like, what's something we could do?
I think we should just normalize it.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think people are like, no, I'm tough. I don't need to deal with mental health.
Man.
My mental health is healthy. And I'm all like,
Yeah.
no, we all need to like replenish our bodies and like our minds as well. And if you're not
Absolutely.
like dieting or like dieting your mind, then you're not like.
That's a very big one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just got through listening to Kendrick Lamar's album that came out last year, and a lot of the stuff that he was kind of talking about like dealt with like mental health and things like that. And
Especially he's talking about like mental health for men because like people are like, oh, I'm a tough man.
Yeah. There's actually a song called Father Time where he talks about that, like, being raised by a guy who's like trying to tell you to do like all these tough things, but then it's like you get older and don't know how to deal
song
with.
has bars.
I love that song. That one and then Count Me Out is like 2 of my favorite ones off his album. But absolutely.
Good choices.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fill in the blank on this question, okay? The world would be better if
we was happy.
Absolutely. I mean, if we could like have happiness for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I feel like not just happiness, but I feel like, what do you call it? Appreciation.
Appreciation.
Because I think people just think about what you don't have, and that's what gets you in that loop of like,
Yeah.
or like you're just rushing through life. Like, all right, everyone to just slow down and have a moment of gratitude, then I think that would make life a lot
That's
better.
a big one, what you just said. We think about like, the things that we don't have. We focus on that, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to like, I have this, I have that, and like, that's very important to me, right? Absolutely. If a friend or loved one was struggling with like depression, anxiety, anything like that, is there anything you would say or do with them to like kind of help them through that time?
I would tell them to journal. I think a lot of times when you're going through it, it's hard to express it to somebody else. And so to be able to just sit down with your thoughts, to write it down, even if you're not a good writer, even if it's just doodles or like scribbles, I think that helps you kind of reflect on like where you're at. Because I think people don't even know mentally where they're even at, and so they don't know how to address the issue.
Absolutely. And I think that's really big what you're saying, because like it doesn't actually have to be like a paragraph or something like, it could just be something like maybe it's one word and just like, hey, this is what I'm feeling in this moment right here.
Yeah.
But it's very important for you to like kind of get that out of your system and like be able to reflect on it later on. Absolutely.
But if I may,
go ahead.
Because you're also talking about kinesiology. I feel
Absolutely.
like I go to yoga at the beach, and they always say like the issues are in your tissues. So if you're having a bad day, if you're having a bad week in life, like make sure your posture is good. Like
I heard that from
breathing,
somebody else too. Yeah, absolutely.
And just like that kind of like getting the pressure off your shoulders.
She was also talking about, because I met another woman she's actually a yoga, like, instructor, and she was talking about yin yoga, which is like all about like stretches and stuff in your feet to like stretch your feet out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But she was telling me about posture, like how important it is and things like that. That's definitely a really good one. I like that. Absolutely. In terms of anxiety for yourself, and you don't have to go too in depth with this question, just maybe more of a surface level answer. What are some things that bring you anxiety? And then when you feel anxiety happening, how do you like counteract how you're feeling in that moment?
That's a really good question. I feel like what brings me anxiety is, I think, just how people's attitudes kind of reflect and like bring me down.
Yeah.
I think everyone's going through stuff, like everyone does, and that's just part of life. Like
Yep.
you shouldn't expect life to be fair or things to like always happen like to your benefit.
Yeah.
I can deal with when things go wrong, but I think it's when people around you create that negative space.
That negative energy.
When you're like, can I just be happier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
people want to always project that on you when they're not feeling it, and it's like, let me throw this your way, and it's like, hey man, I'm feeling good. No, let me keep my peace, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let me just cry happily.
Man,
like,
you know, let me do it.
Yeah.
In terms of if there was one thing you could change about yourself, right? Would you change anything, or how do you feel about that? Doesn't have to be physical either. It's just in general.
I was just like, can I fly?
Yeah.
Like, I could change that. That'd be cool.
Absolutely.
But like, as far as like realistic things, whatever like I want to change, like I feel like I'm in the process of changing it, and I feel like
That's
you
dope.
shouldn't rush those things.
That's
Because if
dope.
I'm like I'm in that process, then like it's about the journey.
It's gonna happen. Yeah, absolutely. You just gotta. I think we're meant to go through these things sometimes, so we learn our lessons like through it, and like it could be helpful for somebody else down the road because it's like, hey man, I remember when I was dealing with something like that. Like, here's some things that you could do. So, I definitely think that that's really cool. All right, so let's get into these questions now. I've been intrigued to see how you feel. Fill in the blank on this question. When I think about my feet, I feel. How do you feel? You feel happy?
Yeah.
Okay, because we're talking about foundation, things like that.
Well, because I think about my toes, and then like you wiggle them, and then you're like, my toes are there. You know what I mean? It's just like awareness.
So, in terms of aesthetics, do you like your feet? You don't like your feet? How do you feel about them?
I had somebody tell me once, he was just like, oh, you have really cute ostrich feet.
Ostrich
I was like,
feet?
ostrich feet?
What
I was
is
like,
that
that's not a nice word. And he's just like, no, because his feet were like really narrow. It gives
Oh,
him problems.
I see.
But his, like, he said mine were like ostrich. I don't know, like they have
kind of like a little bit wider or whatever like that.
Yeah, I guess. So I think they give me balance better. I don't know.
It is actually that's been shown. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The more wider it is, you tend to have like more of a balance in your steps and stuff like that.
But I actually have like a different kind of relationship with my feet too, because when I was younger, I stepped on a pencil.
Oh wow!
And the lead went like into the soft middle part of my foot.
Ooh.
So I had to have surgery when I was younger, and then they didn't get all the pieces out, so they had to have a second. And I was awake during the surgery. I like watched them like pull the pencil out, and so it had scar tissue because I had 3 surgeries on that same foot, and that foot didn't grow as fast as the other one did because I was like still in puberty. Yeah. So I had scar tissue, and that's when my grandma came in, and because my doctor said like
the massaging and stuff like that, right?
The doctor said like you're gonna live with that. That's just gonna be your life. But she massaged it with her healing energy. Yeah. And she just like it's gone now.
That's dope. Yeah. And they tell you to do that with babies, right? Sometimes when they have issues with their feet, you're supposed to massage it to help like promote like the good health and stuff like that. So the growth, that's definitely dope. Let me ask you this: have you ever received compliments about your feet? Well, you kind of talked about the. Well, did you take that as a compliment or?
I took it as a compliment because he meant it as a compliment.
Okay, got it. Yeah. In terms of when you got that compliment in that moment, how did it make you feel?
It made me feel funny, I think, because I feel like I don't usually think about my feet in a aesthetic way.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So I think it's a little.
Okay, cool, cool. In terms of compliments you receive from men and women, right? Mm-hmm. Is there a compliment you prefer more from like a certain group? Like, you prefer more from women or men?
I feel like if a girl compliments my titties, then I prefer it from a girl than a guy. Just because she has them too, and she knows. Yeah,
that makes sense.
I don't know why. It's like loud. But men, as long as they give a compliment, I feel like kudos to them. They tried.
Yeah. And I think because sometimes men can miss out on that, like especially just saying something like, "Hey, I think that you have a really nice energy," or something like that. Like something along those lines can like go a long way with women, especially when they don't get it all the time, right? Yeah. Absolutely. In terms of compliments you do receive, right? Is there a certain compliment that when you get that compliment, you're like, "Man, that really made my day. It made me feel good." Anything like that for you?
I think when people they say like they like my voice or my energy or stuff like that.
You seem like a very aesthetic. I would say like a good person to get along. Like if you met like if somebody met you, like you would be good to be like friends with, to hang out and stuff like that. Like you seem to kind of have that type of energy.
I try to be like down to earth and just
yeah.
like
Because when I approached you, were just like, yeah, sure. Like, you know, I got some time to spare. Why not?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You'll be surprised sometimes. I get people who are just like, nah, I'm good. Like
Yeah.
just absolutely. So yeah, that's definitely dope.
Okay,
in terms of pedicures, how often do you get pedicures?
Not often enough.
Not often.
Not often enough.
So is it more of a cost thing, a time thing? Is it a little bit of combination of both?
It's a combination because like on Sundays, that's when I do my self-care. Whether I go out to do that or if I do that on my own.
Yeah.
And I do try to take care of like my feet as well and do like the salt bath with like the scrub and like the works. And I do my boyfriend's toenails too.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So.
I know he's gonna be happy about that, man.
Yeah.
Like, hooking
he was
him
telling
up.
me like, baby, I need to do my toenails again.
That's dope. I like the fact that he's like kind of open to that, because some guys can be a little bit closed off to
he
like,
was closed off at first.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
but I told him like this is something that I do and like I would like to share that with you, and if you don't like it, we don't have to do it again, but if you like it,
try
we
it
can
one time.
continue it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that. In terms of your pedicures, have you ever heard of a medical pedicure before?
I mean, I haven't really heard about it, but I kind of know about it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like when you go see a podiatrist, basically they take a look at your feet to make sure your nails grow correctly. They check your like toe alignment to make sure it's right. They'll check your feet for like dead skin, fungus, do all the work there with like medical grade equipment. It's actually the cleanest possible pedicure you could get. What would your thoughts be on seeing something like that who could give you like insight into like kind of what's happening with your feet? Like tell you like, hey, like this is going on, you should do this or do that. How would you feel about that?
I would feel good about it because I am somebody who like, again, I've had medical problems with my feet in the past.
Yeah.
So people do say I walk funny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I don't know why. I think it might be because of like the issues I had when I was younger. But if I would to actually go to somebody who like specializes in that to figure out why do I walk like that? Or like, or make
just tell them that's my gangster lean right there.
Yeah,
like, you know,
that's my crimp walk.
There it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In terms of shoes, how often you were open toe shoes, like sandals and flip flops, things like that?
I used to wear more often when I lived in the East Bay. I don't know why since I lived here, I just started wearing
Wait, when
clothes.
you lived in the East?
Yeah, I lived like in the Oakland area.
Oh, my girlfriend's from there. She's from Sacktown, but yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well,
but she's from that general area or whatever.
Yeah. I literally would walk with open-toed heel, like wherever, like daytime,
and so then you
nighttime,
move down
wherever.
here and it's like, you're like, what changed? What changed? Something had to have changed.
I don't know, maybe I grew older and I was like, why am I walking in heel? I don't know. I don't know.
No, it's like, I gotta change this up real quick. Let's do something different.
You gotta switch up your style every once in a while.
That is true.
You can't
like
keep with the same style.
we evolve and we go through different phases where we're like, you know, you do one thing 1 minute and then you're like, let me switch up and do something different. So absolutely. In terms of going barefoot, how often do you do that?
I love to be barefoot.
Okay.
I actually do.
Okay. And you talked about foundation earlier, so I'm pretty sure you might be aware of like earthing and grounding. You familiar with that?
Yeah.
All right. Have you ever tried that before? Is that something you do?
Yeah.
Absolutely. How often do you do that?
I should do it.
Not as much as you want.
Yeah.
Man, absolutely. Yeah. Is this like, now that I'm mentioning it to you, is that something that maybe you're going to be a little bit more thoughtful of? Like maybe on the weekend go out and just like.
No, definitely.
Absolutely.
But I feel like I get scared because I don't know where to safely go out barefoot.
Okay.
Because I feel like I get cautious of like.
The loud sound.
I know, the loud sound.
Yeah, you just street interviews, so there it is.
No, but I get cautious because I was from the Oakland area, San Francisco. That's where I went to school, and I would go to like Yerba Buena Park and like Dolores Park, and I was scared of heroin needles on the floor because I didn't want to prick myself with nothing or like broken glass.
And that would like hepatitis or something like that.
Yeah,
absolutely. I definitely get you. I think some good places though, like sometimes some of the beaches like that you can go to, like just grounding in that sand or finding a nice park that might be like pretty clean, like that could be good for you. Yeah. Or even if you got like a front yard yourself or in the backyard, okay, it's like no, not right now. In the future.
I'm on the second floor of an apartment.
I feel it, man. That's that apartment life. Absolutely.
Concrete, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so now in this moment right now, can we see what your feet look like?
Okay.
All right,
absolutely. I haven't done my pedicure in a minute.
It's all good. What size shoe do you wear? Leave your socks on for now. I'm just gonna have you, if you can turn this way with me, like and just kind of square up. Yeah. And then can we get both feet? Okay. All right. And you said what size was it again?
I think I'm a 6.5 or 7.
So does it vary depending on the type of shoe you're wearing? Like if you're wearing a heel or a sandal?
But I don't know if you can tell like which one. Like this one's a little bigger than that one.
Ah, yeah, we can see it. Just a tad bit, like maybe about an inch or two.
Tissue was here.
Absolutely. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. All right, cool. And then, yeah, you take your socks off now.
Okay. It's been a long day, so don't judge. There's no
judgments here, okay? Oh,
So
hey.
I do try to do my nails.
They look nice, absolutely. Yeah, and I can tell it looks like your toes go from big to small, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah. So I don't have that large middle one that's
yeah. Do you know what those toe alignments are called?
What do they call it?
So this one right here that you have is called the Egyptian toe alignment. It's when your bigger toe is longer than all the rest of them. If your second toe was longer, it would be called the Grecian toe alignment, which is a Greek toe, basically. Okay. Absolutely. So yeah, you have what's called, it's almost like that bar on your phone that goes like big and then it kind of goes down like this. That's kind of what you have. Absolutely.
The Egyptian toe.
There it is. You learn something new, right?
Yeah. Okay.
The more you know. And then can you see your bottoms? Can you see like the soles?
Let me see.
Don't worry. Don't worry. We're not here to judge. Okay. I'm catching you at an impromptu moment. Okay. All right, cool. So let me ask you this, right? In the moment right now, you can put them down for now. And leave your feet out. We're going to go through a couple more exercises. Okay. But in terms of in the moment right now, like I approached you, we've been talking for a minute.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts kind of about the experience, the conversation we've been having? How do you feel about it?
So I used to work with daycare.
Okay.
And like little kids.
Yeah.
And I feel like kids are like, can I see your toes? And they're just
really?
like that, just innocently, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like there's that playful, like just that adventure and just exploring and just learning new things and seeing new things about other people.
I love that.
And I feel like we should carry that more as adults.
I love that.
And not be like, what a weird guy.
Yeah, we're kind of like off to. I met an older lady. I'm glad that you said that because I met an older lady just not too long ago. I think she's probably in her 40s. And she was like, I approached her, she was like completely open. She was like, yeah, absolutely. She's like, I know some people can be like a little bit off put because what you're talking about or whatever like that. But she's like, I think it's a really cool topic. So absolutely. Let me give you some of the mental health of why I got started my channel. And then hopefully like you'll kind of put the pieces together and understand what I'm doing. Okay. So during quarantine.
My feet are closed, so I'm putting myself
no worries. So during quarantine, I was actually watching another guy's channel and he was talking about exposure therapy. Are you familiar with that?
No.
Okay. So exposure therapy is for, let's say, for example, you're uncomfortable in certain situations or scenarios, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe it's approaching strangers. You're like, I don't approach strangers because I don't like how I feel when I first walk up to them, right? Yeah. What therapists will tell you to do, like if you want to get over that, is go out and put yourself in that situation over and over again, right? Yeah. The thought process, the more you do it, you'll start to learn like, oh, like nothing bad's gonna happen. Like the worst thing that somebody could say to me is like they don't want to talk to me or whatever like that. But like I'm not gonna die from that. Like the sky is not gonna fall, anything like that, right? Because sometimes our minds can create all these different things that might happen, right?
You have anxiety, have a heart attack, and die.
Exactly. So like when I heard about that, I was like, oh, that's interesting because I'm an overthinker. Like I overthink every situation. Like, should I go to the movies? Should I not go to the movies? Before I know it, it's been like 4 hours that have passed by, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going.
Show.
Yeah, and there it is. So I'm like, I wanted to get better at making snap decisions, and actually hearing about that helped me out with that, right? So I had an idea during that time, like, I wonder what would happen, like, because during quarantine, a lot of women were like becoming famous for foot modeling, and that was like a thing, right? Yeah. So I was like, what if I had a channel where, like, we talk about mental health, we talk about exposure therapy, and I see if women are willing to do impromptu, like, foot modeling as a part of the exposure therapy, right? Can they get out of their comfort zone? Do they start to get uncomfortable? Why are they uncomfortable? Why are they open to it? Just kind of like finding out what the mental side of that is, right? Yeah. And so when I go and do this, I get different reactions. Some women are like, nah, I'm good. Yeah. Some women like, well, you can see that they start to overthink it, like, well, I don't know, should I not? Yeah. And some women are just like, yeah, it's not a problem with me, right? Yeah. The whole point of that is I want to show that on my channel so that people can learn to become more comfortable about the subject of feet. Like, kind of how you were saying, right? Mm-hmm. You got kids who talk about it and it's like looked at as an innocent thing, right? Yeah. But I think every time when people hear like an adult talk about it, they assume that it's got to be like the sexual thing, right? Yeah. And it's like, but why can't I just like have like a liking for feet? Like I might think that they look nice when the toes are done or when somebody puts jewelry on them or whatever like that. Yeah. And that doesn't have to be something that's a negative thing, right? So my channel is all about trying to promote the positivity behind it and trying to change the conversation around it. Yeah. What are your thoughts about that? How do you feel about that? What do you think?
I think that is interesting because there definitely was that like during the pandemic, like a lot of girls like just went, and you can make so much money out of it, like an odd amount.
Tons.
But I feel like you can make money out of it because so many people are shameful of their toe kink that they would pay money for it because it wasn't as tapped into. Exactly. So that just kind of shows that like people like feet, whether we,
Yeah.
we think it
and
or
my
not.
thing is, if it was a more normalized thing, you probably wouldn't, like you said, see like such a spike in like that type of thing. It would be just a normal thing, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So like for me, like that's what I'm trying to do with my channel. It's been going really well, actually. I got like 18,000 subscribers, and we're doing it for about 2 years. So yeah, I'm gonna share everything with you when we're done. Okay.
All right, I'll hold you to it. Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about reflexology. You kind of told me you know a little bit about it from your grandma. Reflexology is all about the different pressure points you have in your hands and in your feet, right?
I think this one's your chest, right?
Yes, yes.
And then this is like your head.
That's your head right there.
Okay.
Look, she already knows about it. Look at that. Schooled on it. Yeah, so yeah, when I go out and do that, I want to give this information to people because a lot of times people turn to pills and things like that as a way to like overcome like different strains or stresses they may have in their body. And there's actually like a holistic way to go about it that doesn't require that. So when I go out, talk about that. A lot of women sometimes deal with migraines sometimes, right? Actually, a portion of your hands or your feet you can massage, alleviates the tension in those moments. Also, a piercing you can get to does the same thing.
Oh yeah, they say right here it's like
right
your heart.
there,
Yeah.
absolutely. What are your thoughts about that? Because you've had some experiences. I kind of talked about it a little bit. Do you think it's a positive thing for people? Should more people try it? How do you feel?
Definitely. Like for me, like if my man's is sick, if he has like chest pain, I massage like right there.
Right
on his
there in that
foot.
area,
Or
yeah.
if he has like sinus issues, then I'll like do like the whole foot because I don't know where it's on. So I just like I'll just get the whole thing and hopefully I get it. And it helps him. It definitely does.
That's dope.
And especially like you do the massage with like the lotion and then
essential
you put
oils or things
a
like
hot
that.
sock on top of it, and it like seals that energy in there.
Man.
And I feel like something about it is just like my grandma used to do it for me, and then it's just like it's like magic. And I think more people should know about it because like that cold medicine, it'll just knock you out.
Exactly.
And then you're just like, well, okay, I felt better, but I was just sleeping. I didn't do anything with my time. Yeah.
That's dope,
So,
man. That's really dope. I'm glad that you know about that. You can share some information with us.
Yeah.
Usually when we get to reflexology, we like to talk about sensitivity, right?
Okay.
How ticklish do you tend to be?
Yeah, very.
Very ticklish. When you get pedicures, are you really ticklish?
Literally, my nail person will be like, "Why are you stressing? Why?" She'll be like, "Loosen up, loosen up." I'm like, "I can't."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now I have a trick for you.
Okay.
That's something that you can use when you go do that. Do you mind if we test it?
We're this far and we might as well.
Okay. Absolutely. I'm gonna have you hold this for me for 1 second. Let me just get guys. All right, cool. So if you could take off both your socks, and then I'm gonna have you, if you can. I know it's gonna be kind of hard,
What
but
is this? Is this just electric toothbrush?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're gonna try it out, but I'm gonna show you what the trick is. We're gonna do it without the trick first. Then I'm gonna show you what the trick is. Okay. So let me have you kind of turn this way like you were before, and then if you can flex your feet up like that, how you did before. Maybe we'll do one at a time. If you could just lift your leg up.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go. All right. So we're gonna start from bottom to top. Tell me where you feel it at. Okay.
Oh God.
Is it right at the bottom?
No, it's everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay.
Literally everywhere.
All right. So
No, I'm literally
that's one foot. Okay. Let's see this foot. We're gonna tell me which one is worse. Okay.
No, I know this one's gonna be worse because this is my sensitive foot.
Is it? Is it?
No,
Okay.
is,
Let's see.
That's where I had the surgery.
All right.
Actually, you know what? It was the other one.
It was the other one, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what I'm gonna do now. Okay. What I want you to do is I want you to wiggle your toes while I'm doing it. You tell me if you feel it more or less. Okay. So wiggle. More or less.
Less.
You know why?
Significantly, because
You
I'm
know
putting
what?
my mind process into it.
Your mind process is a part of it, right? But also because you're moving your toes, it moves the energy to a different spot. So
What happens if I wiggle my fingers at the same time? Does it have the same effect?
We haven't gone through that yet. Let's
Should
try
we
it.
test
Let's
it?
try it. Yeah, let's try it. Let's see what happens.
It also
It helps.
Yeah.
Because you're doing two things now. That is dope, man. You just taught me something new.
I think it did even less than wiggling my toes.
Absolutely. Let's try here.
Okay.
On this one. You said this one you didn't feel as much.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
And you don't feel anything.
No, I feel a little bit, but it doesn't tickle that bad.
Let me ask you this. On a scale, when we originally did it, what was the scale that it was on?
It was like a 7 and it went down to like a 2.
There it is. So there's a helpful hint for you. I'm going to have you do one more thing. This is to test like dexterity and flexibility in your feet. I'm going to have you do some stretches, okay, real quick. But you tell me if you like feel any pain or discomfort while you're doing it, okay? Cool. Can you hold up both feet at the same time or is that going to be kind of hard?
I kind of have like a backrest almost.
Okay,
so like
cool. All right, there we go. So I want you to do first, bend your toes over, make a fist. Tell me if you feel pain or discomfort while you're doing that.
Not really. No.
Easy?
Yeah.
Okay. Relax. Let me have you spread your toes. Tell me if you feel pain or
They
discomfort.
spread really far.
Good spread. Do you do yoga?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
But I don't do it specifically on my feet.
Interesting. But that's probably why you're more flexible.
That's why he said I have ostrich feet.
Absolutely. So the last thing, let me get you to do, relax your feet first. Let me get you to just wiggle your toes for about 10 seconds. You feel any pain or discomfort while you're doing that?
No.
Usually people feel it after a while, but you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. There we go. let's wrap up the interview. You put your socks on now.
Okay.
In terms of my approach, first of all, right? When I came up to you, asked you to do the interview, did you feel my approach was good? Was it bad? How did you feel about it?
It was a good approach. It was
Absolutely.
a solid approach. Very friendly, just down to the point. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. In
Okay.
terms of the interview from start to finish, right? Did you see how everything was going along in a line? Did it make sense? Did you learn anything new from the information?
It really helped that you gave me like 3 words to kind of like
Focus on?
the guide.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think you built trust pretty easily.
Thank you.
So I appreciate that. And I think, yeah, it had good flow to it. Like I wasn't like, all right, it's running a little long.
I mean, but you had
Yeah.
time to kill too, right? So it's
Yeah,
kind of
that's
something
true.
interesting to do right now. Absolutely.
Oh my
The last thing I always ask, right?
Okay.
This is something I want you to do from a mental health standpoint, right? Maybe it's a life lesson you learned. Maybe it's wise words that somebody shared with you. Something that you can say to my channel that could be helpful to them down the road.
Okay.
And whatever comes to mind.
You want me to say something?
Yeah, whatever comes to mind.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Yeah.
If you haven't read J.D. Salinger, Franny and Zoe, and Seymour an Introduction,
Okay.
those are like 2 of my favorite books. I think they talk about mental health in like an off the side kind of way. And it's about just a family dealing with the loss of their brother. And I think I love it so much because it talks about, not it directly, but about how just the little things that upset you or the little things that you're like, why do people do that? And it's like, all of it comes back to the trauma that you felt as a kid or like
Absolutely.
the trauma that you're feeling right now.
Yeah.
And everything ties together so seamlessly. So when you're having those, like, I feel frustrated, I feel upset, I feel like everyone's just phonies, I feel like, you know, like the world's just maddening. Sometimes a lot of that just has to do with where your mental health is at and what you feel like you've lost.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people, we feel like we lost something and we're just trying to like put our shit together. Yeah.
We're trying to just like, we're faking it until we make it, basically.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely appreciate you. Thank you for those kind words. We appreciate you like going through this journey with us. We hope that you have a great one. All right.
Okay.
And have a great weekend.
Cool.
All right.
Happy